Good day, everyone, especially with my co-directors. Welcome to Chess Webinar Workshop. Welcome for attending this meeting at such short notice. And by the way, I am Jessamy Sarkogan. I am going to discuss these matters with my partner, Joriza A. Sardido. So I want you to listen during this discussion for the reason that it will be very beneficial for us. Since everyone is here, let's get started. So for today's agenda, we're going to tackle about the definition of a business letter, the purposes, the parts, the types, the formats, the styles, the steps in writing a business letter, and the essential tips of writing a business letter. So the term business letter refers to any written communication that begins with a salutation and ends with a signature and whose contents are professional in nature. Historically, business letters were sent via postal, email, or courier, although the internet is rapidly changing the way businesses communicate. There are many standard types of business letters, and each of them has a specific focus. So if you own or run a small business long enough, the odds are that you are going to have to write actual business letters to demonstrate your seriousness, whether that involves making a formal complaint or delivering a heartfelt thanks. Unlike with email, the format is still important when it comes to conveying professionalism, and that includes knowing the parts of a business letter that you need to include. So basically, there are actually many things you need to keep in mind when it comes to knowing how to write a business letter. Understanding the formats is crucial. Not only you need to understand more standard business letter formats, but also you might need to figure out something less well-known, such as the formats of a memo. So as we all know, business letters are important because they serve as a formal method of communication between people. They provide valuable information, business-related matters such as purchase transactions, and they serve a legal purpose. So business letters are also used as a reference material for future transactions between individuals and organizations. So furthermore, business letters also promote and sustain goodwill. Good business relationships are formed and maintained through effective communication, properly needs constant marketing and promotion of its products or services. And also one of the ways this is done by sending letters to customers and clients. These letters serves as a micro-level substitute for advertisements, So incoming and outgoing letters also serve as a reference for future actions, and they provide substantial evidence to transactions and disputes. They have the legal validity, problems such as customer issues, and are solved through proper communication between the involved parties. So let's proceed with the purposes of a business letter. So there are wide varieties of circular letter, inquiry letter, order letter, collection letter, and so on and so forth, and multidimensional business purposes. So the main purpose of writing a business letter is to exchange information-related business. Through it, business organizations collect and convey business-related information. Second is to establish business relationship by exchanging information through business letters. New business relationships can be established with various parties, and existing relationships can be strengthened. The third one is to make inquiry. Another important objective of writing a business letter is to make inquiry about people, product, price, and so on and so forth. With the expansion of business operations of the business, importance of business letter is also increasing. So the next purpose of writing this letter is to take right decisions. So taking right decisions require accurate information. Since business letter since business letters collect information from reliable sources, executives can take right decision using the information. Next is to place order. A common purpose of writing a business letter is to place order for goods specifying quantity, price, and payment goodwill. Goodwill is an important asset for any business. Businesses can create goodwill by writing letters like order confirmation letter, adjustment grants, inquiry letter, and reply to inquiry letter, and so on and so forth. So also to save time and cost. Saving time and cost of communication is another objective of writing a business letter. Posting letter is cheaper and faster than writing a letter manually. So writing letters saves time and cost. So good day once again, and I apologize for technical errors. I am having a technical problems about the connection. So to proceed, we are here in the purposes of a business letter. So there are wide varieties of a business letters like circular letter, inquiry letter, order letter, collection letter, and so on and so forth. All these letters serve important and multidimensional business purposes. So the main purpose of writing a business letter is to exchange information related to business. Through it, business organizations collect and convey information related. And second is to establish business relationship. So by exchanging information through business letters, new business relationships can be also established with various parties, and existing relationships can be also strengthened. The third one is to make inquiry. So another important objective of writing a business letter is to make an inquiry about people, product, the price, and so on and so forth. With the expansion of business operation of a business, importance of business letter is also increasing. So let's proceed to in taking right directions. Taking right directions require accurate information. Since business letters collect information from reliable sources, form reliable sources, make right decision using that information. And the next one is to place orders. A common purpose of writing business letter is to place order for goods specifying quantity, quality, price, and payment method, and etc. So next is to create goodwill. So goodwill is an important asset for any business. Businesses can create goodwill by writing letters like order confirmation, adjustment grants, inquiry letter, and reply to inquiry letter, and so on and so forth. Next is to save time and cost. Saving time and cost of communication is another objective of writing a business letter. Posting letter is cheaper and less than consuming than personal making visits. Next is to expand markets. Through writing various business letters like inquiry letter, inquiry letter, and circular business organization market for news to misunderstanding. So if there are arise any misunderstanding between business stakeholders, business letter is written to overcome it. So also the purpose of writing this letter is to settle transactions. By means of writing a business letter, concerned parties can settle their transactions. For example, customers write claim letters to the sellers for compensations, then sellers write collection letters to customers for collecting dues. And the last one is to keep records. Another reason for wide use of business letter is to keep permanent record of information. Business letters help to develop an information base in the organization and facilitate future decision making. So in the era of technological advancement, writing a letter through email is majority preferred, but there are people who focus in writing a letter as they are considered more professional than writing an email. We have been taught in our school days about formal and informal letters. Formal letters are written when you want to communicate about some professional or official information, whereas informal letters are friendly communications about one another. Both have a standard format, and here we would be discussing formatting business letter, sending for professional purposes. So business letters are preferred to be written on the company's letterhead and which has some information about the company. It does not only represent the sender, but only the company as a whole. On whose behalf the letter is being sent. So this is the correct format of a business letter, wherein it includes it is the correct format of a business letter, wherein it includes the detailed information about the name of the sender, company name, address, etc. And also you need to include the date on which the letter was written. Next, we have the address of the receiver, and again, it should have a detailed information about the name of the receiver, company, etc. So the other part of the format is the salutation. It is a formal way of addressing the receiver and is the opening statement. One needs to address the receiver as dear sir or madam, and if you are unsure about the gender of the recipient, then you can address as to whom it may concern. And the body as the heading is not to be included, rather than the point of concern needs to be mentioned that this exact reason for writing the letter. The point of contention should be specified clearly without being lengthy. Few paragraphs can be included, but they should contain concisely refer to the contention and its reasons and solution. So we have also the ending. The letter will end with a statement. Yours faithfully, or best regards, as well as the signature, and on the other hand, it refers the end of the letter where the sender has to mention the name. Signature can be included and it has to be placed before the name of the sender with his position title. Format of a business letter can be drafted. Letter needs to have a professional tone with concise information in order to persuade the reader. After a letter, the receiver should feel positive and not intimidated by the content. In case the letter is to be written to a university or school, then the same format is to be applied, with some mini changes in address and signature, along with the addition of subject after the salutation. And now let's proceed to the parts of a business letter. I have here 7 basic parts of a business letter. The first is the sender's address. So optimally, you want to have printed company letterhead. So similar to having a company website conveys that your business is legit. But even if the address is simply typed at the top, including your address plays a practical purpose, because you don't want the recipient to have to look up your address in order to send or spend. So the second one is the date. So whoever receives the letter needs to know when the letter was written. It's best to use a standard US format. For example, September 20, 2018. The next one is the recipient's address. So it includes the recipient's address so that you have you have the information readily available for printing out the envelope. A full recipient address also helps ensure the letter doesn't get lost in the office shuffle wherever you are sending it. The first line should be the name, including any honorifics such as Mr. or Miss or Doctor and so on and so forth. And the second line is a recipient's job title. Their company's name goes to the third line, and the remaining lines include the street address, city, state, and zip code. So the fourth one is the salutation. So a to whom it may concern or dear sir or madam is a good way to ensure that your letter goes nowhere. Find out the name of the person who should receive the letter. Even if you have to do some searching in Google or linked or call the company. The fifth one, the fifth one is the body. So time is money in the business world. So get down to business and quickly make your case or communicate your message. Stay professional, be clear and concise, and quickly convey the point on the letter. So let's have number 6. I mean the closing or the signature. Stick with a formal closing such as a sincerely or thank you. You should only capitalize the first word for the closing. So remember to follow the closing with 4 lines of space in order to make room for your signature, which demonstrates your personal stamp or approval of the letter's contents. So the last one is the enclosures. So if there are any additional items to enclose with the letter, it's best to list them so that the recipient remembers what was included with the letter. Include enclosures 3 lines before your signature or 1 below the typing's initials. So aside from basic parts of a business letter, we also have the essential parts of a business. First, out of all the parts in a business letter, there are 2 things about how to write a business letter that can make or break a letter's effectiveness. It needs to have the name of a human being in the recipient address and salutation, and the body of the letter needs to quickly get to the point and persuade the reader. Second, use the first paragraph of the letter to quickly and clearly state the purpose of the letter. In the second paragraph, you must provide the empirical evidence of persuasion to back up with a point made in the first paragraph. By third or fourth paragraph, repeat the main point of the letter and then close with a call to action. If we have essential parts of this letter, we also have an optional parts of a business letter that you might find helpful, and it includes the attention line and the subject or reference line, wherein this part can focus the recipient of the letter's actual purpose. Starts with the subject or a read or write in all caps. So let's move on to the next topic, the types of a business letter. So the common types of these letters include, and the first one is the cover letter. So the purpose of a cover letter is to describe what is enclosed and provide a description of what the receiver should do with it. Also, it is a written document commonly submitted with a job application outlining the applicant's credentials and interest in the open position. Cover letters usually accompany a package to describe what is enclosed, why is it being sent, and what the recipient should do with it. So if there are any action that needs to be taken, these types of letters are generally thank you letters. If this can be great for networking and relationship building. Don't just write a thanks for and leave it at that. provide more details about what they did and how it helps you. And on these types of business letters. So the third one is complaint letters. So the case to these types of letters is over the top angry. Suggest how the receiver of the letter might to use in a letter complaining to a business may be the deciding factor on whether your complaint is satisfied. Be direct but factual, and always use a professional tone in if you want the company to listen to you. So the next one is the adjustment letters. This kind of letter is a response to a complaint letter. So the point is to be humble in the response and to offer potential solutions. If you want to avoid the burning bridges and instead use your response as a relationship building tool, an adjustment letter is normally sent in response to a claim or complaint. If the adjustment is in the customer's favor, begin with a letter with the news, and if not, keep your tone factual and let the customer know that you understand the complaint. The next one is the bad news letters. The K with bad news letters is to soften the blow. Being direct is valued in business writing. But when writing bad news letters, it's best to remind the receiver about what actually works in your business relationship before breaking the bad news to him or her. So the next one is the acknowledgement letters. So they are meant to acknowledge that you received an item from someone or that you are aware of a fact or error they've pointed out. So let the receiver know and thank you for it. So the acknowledgement letter acts as a simple process to send them to let others know that they have received a prior communication that action or may not have taken place. So the next one is a memo. So memos is a short document used to transmit information within a organization. It is characterized by being brief and direct and easy to navigate. They are less formal letters but should maintain a professional, succinct style. It is often used to spread formal letters in some company, and the point with memos is to be fact and to the point with congratulatory letters. So the point with these types of letters is to stay on point and avoid sounding over the top or mocking. Describe what motivated you to send a congratulations and the positive feedback that you have already heard or keep is the response letters. So this is about explaining or listing of how a request was fulfilled, and it provides the answer or information requested in a letter of inquiry. So the object is to satisfy the reader with an action that fulfills the request. If you have neither the information requested nor the authority to reply, forward the injury on to the correct person. So we have also the sales types of letters is to ask for help without groveling or being overly emotional. Take a hard look at the adjectives you're using it in the letter. When composing the letter, keep it clear and concise. succinct, and list that could be sure to include your contact information so that it is easy for the reader to respond. And we have the sales letters. So these letters require a strong call to action or hook at the beginning, and so that the receiver continues to read and discovers the benefits of whatever you are selling. Make sure also to provide information so that the typical sales letters start off the reader. Since the purpose is to get the reader to do something, these letters include strong calls to attention, detail the benefits to the reader of taking action, and include information to help the reader to act, such as being a download or recycling. And also, this is the resignation letters. So this letter is about giving notice that you are leaving a position, or providing a last day of employment and explaining what is causing you to leave. When an employee plans to leave, a letter of resignation is usually sent to his immediate manager, giving him notice and letting him know when the last day of employment will be. So this brings to my this brings me to the end of my discussion. I'd like to thank you everyone for your time and attention for today. I sincerely appreciate that I had this opportunity to present this discussion with you. So regarding with this topic, my partner will be the one to discuss the next content that contains the formats, the skill tips and steps in writing a business letter. And at this juncture, may I call on Teresa Sardido to proceed with the next topic in this presentation. Ms. Sardido?
So thank you, Ms. Jesami Sartoga. Thank you. Good day, my fellow directors. Well, the meeting is called to order. Does everyone get the copy of today's agenda? If yes, let's continue. We're here today to discuss formats of a business letter. But before that, I would like to discuss the purpose of a business letter. A business letter is a kind of letter which is mainly written for different kinds of business purposes. A business letter is mostly used by organizations for communicating with clients, customers, shareholders, investors, etc. in a professional way. In a business letter, it is very essential to use formal language and a specific format. While composing the message, you certainly have to follow all the rules, so it is quite important to know all that when writing it. So to see how it should be done, on the top of that, it is always good to know some additional guidelines for formal writing. That is the reason why we have to come up with some tips and format of writing a business letter for your better understanding. Okay, now let's move on to the main topic. First, layout of a business letter. When writing a business letter, the layout of your letter is important so that it will be easy to read and look professional. So it is your use of an appropriate salutation and closing your spelling, and grammar and the tone you employ. Here's the information of the business letter, including selecting a font, paragraph, spacing, formatting, margins, and what to include in each paragraph, how to close the letter, and an example of the proper layout of a business letter. First is the proper space of the layout of the business letters you write, with space between the heading and greeting, each paragraph, the closing, and your signature. Second, a single space your letter and leave a space between each paragraph. When sending typed letters, leave two spaces before and after your written signature. Third, let's, let's justify your letter so that your contact information, the date, the letter, and your signature are all aligned to the left. Use a plain font. Last is use a plain font like Arial, Times New Roman, Courier New, Calibre, or Verdana. Make sure that the font size you use is large enough that your reader won't need to reach for their glasses. The standard font size for this fonts is 10 point or 12 point. I have here some tips. If you are submitting your business letter to a very conservative organization, it is best to use traditional Times New Roman 12 point font to do not under any circumstances use fancy fonts like Comic Sans or handwriting fonts like Lucida on business correspondence. I have here an example of a layout of a business letter. First, you need to put your contact information, your name, your address, your city, state, zip code, your phone number, your email address, date, recipient's contact information, name, title, company address, state, city, state, zip code, salutation, like dear Mr., Mrs., Miss, and the recipient's last name. Body of letter, the first paragraph of your business letter should provide an introduction to why you are writing. Then, in the following paragraphs, provide more information and details about your request. The final paragraph should reiterate the reason you are writing and thank the reader for reviewing your request. Closing is respectfully yours. Then signature, handwritten signature for a hard copy letter. Then type signature. Each of these areas is a proper place depending on which type of letter you are creating. What goes in each area also may vary depending on when the letter is being sent to and who is writing it. There are three main styles of business letter: black, modified black, and semi-black styles. Each is written in much the same way, including the same information, but the layout varies slightly for each one. Sample of modified black style letter. I have here a sample modified black style letter. First is sender's name, sender's address, then space, today's date, drop down 4 lines, recipient's business name, attention for person it's going to, then recipient's address, then also drop down 2 lines, then dear name. In this type of modified black letter, all the paragraphs line up at the left margin. You do not need to indent at all. The margins should be set to 1 to 1.5 all the way around the page. If you're using company letterhead, you will need to account for that in figuring the margin where the letterhead is placed on the page. You only need to single space between sentence, leave an extra open line between paragraphs. Sincerely, drop down 4 lines. Signature here, add name, then title, identification initials, enclosures, names. And also, sample of modified semi-black style letter is today's date, want to learn more, then take an online course in business writing, then drop down 4 lines. Also, recipient's business name, attention, person is going to, recipient's address, and so on and so forth. In this type of semi-modified black letter, all the paragraphs line up to the margin. However, the first word in each paragraph is indented. The margin should be set to as like as the black style, so 1 to 1.5 all the way around the page. And the third one is sample black style. Sender's address, sender's phone number, today's date, what the letter is about, and drop down 4 lines, recipient's name, and so on and so forth. In this type of black letter, all the paragraphs line up in the margin. There is no indenting of the paragraphs. The margin should be set to 1 to 1.5 all the way around the page. And the last one, the second is the tips of writing a business letter. So I have here 9 tips for writing a better business letter. Following are the number of tips and guidelines that I have complied while reading and writing a business letter. First, limit them to 1 page. By definition, business letters should be short and the point, preferably 1 page in length. Studies have found that busy business people do not like to read beyond the first page and will actually delay reading longer letters. And the second one is be reader friendly. Always try to focus on the needs of the reader and make an effort to see things from the perspective. Anyone can do this since we are all customers of some other business in some part of our lives. Third is keep the tone formal and factual. Generally speaking, the tone and content of business letters should be formal and factual. Feelings and emotion do not have a place in business letters. So avoid phrases like we feel, and so we believe or we think. Instead of cordial, friendly approach is fine. Just keep in business like, but avoid overlay formal terms like heretofore, as per, herewith, and etc. Next is carefully plan your letter. Before writing the letter, take a few minutes to list all the specific points you need to cover. Sometimes it may even mean a phone call to the recipient or his or her company to confirm a specific point. Remember, the purpose of the letter is to tie up all the details of the subject at hand so that more letters won't have to be written back and forth. Next is make it clear, concise, and logical. Use a clear and direct writing style that uses simple words and straightforward phrases. And second is accuracy, timeless, and archaic. By their very nature, business letters need to be accurate and timely. They almost always have financial implications and related impacts on their businesses and or people. Double check all the facts stated in the letter and make sure that any future date specified give other enough time to realistically complete what is expected of them. Next is relegate technical details to attachments. Often, it is necessary to include details, technical information as part of a business letter package. In such case, use the main letter as a cover letter that lists and briefly explains and references the attached. Another one is use non-discriminatory language. Make sure that you avoid language that is specific to gender, race, or religion in all business letters. And then next is eliminate redundant word and phrases. There are certain words and phrases that one often sees the business correspondence that tend to make the language more complicated and cumbersome than necessary. For example, instead of the phrases in spite of the fact that, used, although, or instead of, in the normal course of events used normally, there are many such redundant phrases, so review your letter and eliminate them. If you are running any type of business in which business letters are important communication tools, you would do well to take carefully heed of the above tips and advice. Remember, the business correspondence that you issue is a direct reflection of the overall products or business offered by your business. Poorly written, moisturist, or assured business letters usually result in a lost sale. Lastly, is a steps of writing a business letter. Anytime you communicate with others on behalf of your company, you need to make sure that you're representing your company well. Based on your business letters, what is the impression of your making on your clients, vendors, donors, and others? By knowing how to write a business letter, you can create professional documents that will impress your recipients and pursue them to take an action you want. To do this, you can follow these 8 easy steps. First is format. Start by formatting your document properly. Use a letter-sized documents, 8.5 wide and 11 high, with, with 1-inch margins. All the way around. Black paragraphs are the preferred format, which requires to push the enter key twice between paragraphs and refrain from indenting any paragraphs. Take your writing to the next level. Also choose an easy-to-read font, such as Arial or Times New Roman. Keep the size no smaller or larger than 12 points. To use black font, remember that the format and font should add to the professionalism of the business letter and speak to your company brand. Second is address the date. Unless your company has a pre-designed letterhead that includes the address, you should begin your letter with the company's address. Type it out on the top left corner of the paper or right corner if that's your company's preference. For example, okay, let's proceed to fourth is body paragraphs. While crafting the body paragraphs, remember that the recipient is a busy person. You don't want to take up too much of their time with fluff, fancy transitions, and unfamiliar vocabulary. Instead, keep your letter brief, clear, and professional. Communicate your points in a way that will be easy to understand without the need to contact you for further information. Also, use personal pronouns such as I, we, and you to keep conversational tone. Additionally, remember the goal of your letter. More likely than not, you probably want to pursue the recipient in one way or another. Maybe you want the person to send money, fix an issue, take an action, or change his or her mind on an important issue. Whatever the case, maybe you need to use supporting details to make your argument as effective as possible. Another way is to strengthen your argument is by using active voice rather than a passive one throughout your letter. With passive voice, the subject of the sentence is being acted upon. However, your active voice, the subject should do an action. Fifth is additional pages. Most business letters should stick to one pages. If you need to use more pages, make sure to include a header. In this header, you could restate the recipient's name, date, and the abbreviated address. It's also important to include page numbers to help your recipients keep the pages in correct order. Sixth is concluding paragraphs. When you finish writing the body paragraph, consider starting conclusion with a summary of your main points. What was your reason for writing the letter? Make sure to summarize that in your conclusion. For example, if you want to persuade a company to give your user business, make sure that you remind them of this fact in the conclusion. Briefly restate the reason that they should choose your company over their competition. Then let the recipients know what the next step should be. Should they contact you more information? Do you want them to write you back? Or etc. And a letter by expressing your gratitude for their time. Remember that you're addressing a busy person. So let him or her know how much you appreciate the time they took to read and hopefully respond. To the letter, you could simply say something like, thank you for your time and attention to this matter. Seven is closing. Close your letter in a similar way to how you open the letter. The closing that you choose should be respectful or echo the level of familiarity shown in the salutation. Some of the options of the closing includes whichever ones you choose, make sure to put comma after the closing, then sign your name in a blue blank ink. If you're emailing the letter up, upload a copy of your signature that you can paste into the letter after closing. Then add your contact information, email address, cell phone number, and etc. Take your writing to the next level representing the business letter on behalf of your company. Add PP under your name. Your stands for procuration, which means through the agency of in Latin. By adding this to your letter, the recipient knows that you're speaking to your company and not just yourself. Another thing that you could add to the end of the letter is CC or carbon copy. This tells the recipients that they are receiving a copy of a letter that was sent to others. Then you could list the other individuals who received the letters. Eighth is optional enclosure. Finally, are you including any other documents with your letter? If you want to include a contract, bill, advertisement, or other documents, you need to write enclosure or ENCL at the end of your letter. You can add this a few lines after your signature. Also, you could make a quick note of what enclosure is or how many pages are included. So that's that then. I am glad that we managed to finish this meeting on time. Anything else? Comments? No? Well then, thank you for listening, my dear fellow directors. That's all for today. For the discussion is of so that the discussion is over. But before we totally end this meeting, I want to leave this quote to all of you. Successful is not final. Failure is not fatal. It is the courage to continue and counts. And by the way, the evaluation link will be sent later. The meeting is now adjourned. Again, thank you everyone for listening. Oh, God, I'm so